Imagine you're sitting at a coffee shop, laptop on the table, and you hear a coworker complain about their desktop taking up half the office floor and still lagging when they open a spreadsheet with a few thousand rows. You know there's a better way, but you also know the temptation to splurge on a flashy tower that looks great but ends up being a space eater and a maintenance nightmare. That's the exact spot where the HP Elite Mini 800 G9 comes into play, a compact business desktop that promises raw power without the bulk. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why the size of a machine matters more than most people think. In a typical small business setting or a home office, desk real estate is at a premium. The Elite Mini sits on a shelf or a small podium, leaving plenty of room for dual monitors, a notepad, or even that succulent you keep forgetting to water. When you actually unbox it, you'll notice the chassis is about the size of a stack of books, and the whole thing weighs less than a laptop. That means you can move it from a conference room to a client's desk in seconds. No need for a second set of hands or a rolling cart. Now, raw horsepower is the next big concern for anyone who's ever tried to run multiple office apps, a web browser with dozens of tabs, and maybe a lightweight design program at the same time. The Elite Mini is equipped with a 12th generation Intel i7-14700, a 20-core processor that can turbo up to 5.4 GHz. In real life, that translates to almost no waiting when you switch between Excel, Teams, and a PDF reader. I tested it on a typical day. A morning of email triage, a midday financial model with several pivot tables, and an afternoon video call while pulling up a cloud-based CRM. The system never stuttered, and the SSD 1TB of NVMe storage handled the load without any noticeable slowdown. For anyone whose daily workflow depends on quick data crunching or frequent file transfers, that speed feels like a genuine productivity boost rather than a marketing buzzword. Memory is another hidden factor that often trips people up. The 32 GB of DDR5 RAM isn't just a number on a spec sheet. It means you can keep a hefty Outlook inbox, a full Outlook calendar, and a couple of large PowerPoint decks open without the OS swapping to disk. I tried opening a 500 MB PowerPoint file while simultaneously running a Teams meeting and a browser with 20 tabs. The system stayed responsive, and there was no lag when I switched back to the presentation. That kind of headroom is especially valuable for professionals who juggle several heavy apps at once, like financial analysts, graphic designers using cloud tools, or remote support engineers. Connectivity is where the Elite Mini starts to separate itself from the usual office desktop crowd. It ships with Wi-Fi 6 and a full suite of professional ports, 2 Thunderbolt 4, HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort, and a couple of USB-C and USB-A slots. In practice, that means you can connect 2 4K monitors, a high-speed external SSD, and a docking station all at once without needing a separate expansion card. The built-in Ethernet port ensures a stable wired connection for video calls, which is a lifesaver in environments where Wi-Fi can be spotty. I paired the machine with a 27-inch 4K monitor and a USB-C docking station, and the setup was plug-and-play. Windows 11 Pro recognized everything immediately, and there were no driver headaches. On the flip side, there are a few practical trade-offs to keep in mind. Because the chassis is so small, there's limited room for aftermarket upgrades. If you ever think about swapping the SSD for a larger one, you'll have to open the case, which can be a bit fiddly compared to a traditional tower with a side panel. The same goes for adding a dedicated GPU. The Mini simply doesn't have the space or power delivery for a high-end graphics card. For most office tasks, that's fine, but if you plan to do serious video rendering or machine learning workloads, you might outgrow it quicker than you expect. Also, the included keyboard and mouse are functional but decidedly basic. They won't win any design awards, so you may want to budget for a more ergonomic set if you type for long stretches. So, who should actually consider buying this machine? If you run a small to medium business, a remote work setup, or a home office where desk space is limited, the Elite Mini is a solid match. It shines for anyone whose workload is CPU heavy but doesn't require a discrete GPU, think accountants, lawyers, project managers, and even content creators who rely mostly on cloud-based editing tools. The built-in Windows 11 Pro license also means you get BitLocker encryption and remote management tools right out of the box, which is a nice plus for IT departments that need to roll out devices quickly. Conversely, if you're a hardcore gamer, a 3D animator, or a data scientist who needs multiple GPUs, you'll likely hit the ceiling of this design. The lack of a full-size GPU slot and the limited upgrade path.